Welcome back, my dear students. How's everybody? How are you today? Today we're going to talk about chapter 4, and I will start now for the share. And we will take the main points of each chapter that will help us to have a general conclusion about this chapter and about the contents of this chapter. Anyhow, this chapter is talking about the integration, the elements of supply integration. And it's talking about different points which we will come to know. Uh, Like as example, elements of supply integration. What are the elements of the supply integrations? People are coming together to work. Different people bring different points of views. Teams members are often located all over the globe. There is a need to develop a common understanding of the end goal. So those are the points which we have to take care when we are talking about the integration, that we have different people coming from different places with different cultures. Okay, this is for the supply chain management and for the purchasing department as well. Relationship management skills. So there must be management skills like the ability to act ethically in an ethic way, the ethical aspect, listen effectively, okay, communicate, use creative problem solving for solving the problems. It must be on steps, based on steps, not just all by hazard like, and drive relationships. What relationships inputs mean, the things are needed for a good relationships. Information is required for a good relationship about markets, about plans, knowledge and expertise also is required. So those are two things that are very important. And business advantages like favorable cost structures, economic of scale. Economic scale of scales means how much you can save when you do a big amounts. When you buy in a big amounts, this is the economic of scales. Means how much you can save from like cash discount and amount discount. Different perspectives, fresh eyes approach, and synergy. Those are also things. Still, we are talking about how to achieve the integration through the cross-functional teams, and we talked before about the cross-functional teams, information systems, integrated performance, process-focused organizations. All these are types of happening, how we will do the integration. Other points is like uh, yeah, other points like need to reach agreements and consistent of many communications flows and use issues of global outsourcing. Those are also help in doing the integration. So we come another thing, which is operations, traditional close relationships, development of global operations, sales and operation plans are very important also for any organization. Also, we have to care about the quality assurance. The, like I said before, that the quality is not a process of one part or one phase. The process of the quality is a continuous process. And also there must be you must know that the quality itself for the products, for the supply chain, for the raw materials, for the inputs, for the supplier which you are dealing with, quality is growing in its own importance. If it was not that important in the past, but nowadays it's more and more and more important. Engineering, one of the most important and challenging linkages, joint products and process developments. Co-opting engineers to work in supply management. We need them to work with us. Looking for new technologies. Those are the work of engineers. And at the same time, they are trying to find out a good communication. Accounting for finance, also very important. Marketing and sales. We have to listen to the customer and see what the customer wants. We have to check out about if there is any new products ideas. We have to do a sales forecast. Sales forecast means what? Means I'll try to see the future based on the information of the past. So I will try to look out how the future will looks like when depending on the information of the past. So I can see, as example, in the past, if was escalating in the sales, that means it's a promising market that I will continue in the future to sell more and more. Also, the legal considerations is very important when we are talking uh, in this aspect. So we have the contract issues, the problems of the contracts, the consequences of the contract with the suppliers, with the consumers, patent ownership, and the patent rights is very important nowadays, intellectual properties issues, product liabilities claims, if there are any problems or claims around, antitrust issues, this is the ethical one, long-term contracts with escape clauses, supplier non-conformances issues also. So we have to take care about all these points when we are making the integrity, when we're getting integration. And the supply chain management means integration means that you have to take the whole process, all of them, all of the points which we talk about, you take it in your consideration when you running or managing a supply chain, or when you are managing a purchasing department. You have to take all this in concern. And also the environmentals. And we talk about the environmental issues before, and we said it's very important also for the management. Environmental management systems and health issues, safety issues, those are all very important. This was the internal integration, I mean, from inside, things that from inside your organization. We have also internal, external integration, which is you deal with the outers, with the out of your organization. Your externals means all the stakeholders around you, surrounding you. Supply management in the face of the organization in its supply base acts as a liaison on multiple fronts and using the materials, new technology, market information, and services. Also, the supplier. Who are the external linkages? Who are they? The external who's out of the organization. Suppliers and the governments and local communities which I'm dealing with. What about the suppliers? Primary commercial linkage. Maintain open and continuous communication. Supplier selection and management. Always we have to check the good supplier. Governments, the government for me is very important because I can take the laws from the government. I have to follow the rules of the government in the rules, and at the same time, there are negotiation bodies, okay, that will negotiate with the foreign governments. You can, if you will, as example, work globally, you will depend on on negotiation with the other people from other countries. Consult with appropriate agencies as well. So local communities, this is the third external. We talk about the government, we talk about the suppliers, and now we're talking about the local communities. Controls of substance budgets, which could affect located economy, may affect certain social ethics. Yeah, buyer and supplier collaboration. This is also one of the main points. There must be a collaboration or cooperation between both of them, between the supplier and between the buyer. So both of them will be supplier. You can say the supplier is the seller and the buyer is the buyer. So there must be a kind of own effort, harmonizing in the efforts between both of them. Uh, when you do a good relation with the others, you will gain the trust. You will gain long-term contracts. As long as you are making a good relation with other outers in the external environment, then in this case, you will have a good advantages of these points. Also, okay, let us go for the next point, which I believe. Hello, my dear student. This is chapter 4, part 2. We will talk about the teams. Using the teams at work is very important choose the teams at work. Yeah, choose the teams at work is very important. So we have here the cross-functional teams, and the abbreviation is CFT. CFT consists of various internal functions. They are working, like we said before, the teams are built on like achieving a task. Benefits of them, the benefits of it: reduce time to complete tasks and increase innovation. This is the teams. Joint ownership of decisions, enhanced communication between functional areas. Very important, the role of the teams. Realizing synergies, better identification and resolution problem, and need to build internal relationship. This is very important, but also the cross-functional teams are having benefits or advantages. They have disadvantages or drawbacks that consist of like this ones. Does not guarantee success. Usually it doesn't guarantee success. Team process loss, negative effects on individual members. Sometimes it has a negative effects on the people, the members, because someone may be controlling everything and the other people just watching him. They don't interfere or they don't work. Poor team decisions sometimes leads to poor team decisions, groupthink, and artificial consensus. When to form the cross-functional team facing a complex or large-scale problem. If you need the ideas of more than one person, then the cross-functional teams here is important. Likely to make a better quality decisions. Assignment directly affects the firm's competitive position. No single function has sufficient resources. For that reason, you are always working on the cross-functional teams. But still, the cross-functional teams, their members, they have some important points, like success keys of success. Okay, the effective ones means they have keys of success, which is understanding the team task. They are aware of the team task, has task relevant knowledge. They has the time commits to the cross function, so they have a time enough for the cross function to give for the cross functional team. Uh, there's the ability to work with others in groups and can assume an organizational perspective in addition to strict functional rules. So they have also something is called emotional intelligence, that they are able and aware of all the surroundings around them. So this was about chapter 4 in this point. Thank you so much. We'll finish here. Hello, my dear students. This is chapter 4, part 3. Chapter 4, part 3. And still I will also join the thing for some points, which is very important, I believe. So we have here now, the rewards. When I will use the rewards for the team work. Monetary bonuses, recognition and rewards. Recognition and rewards. Monetary bonuses and other on-time cash awards. This is the first point. Executive recognition, non-monetary rewards. We have also non-monetary, not in a figure of money rewards, but not like, as example, if I give certificates or praising or give a recommendation or a references, letters, all this, or give like a small present. So all this, and merit raises also from the basis of recognition and reward. So you are not going to reward everyone, but you will reward the people who are having merits already. Guidelines for rewards. This will help us for whom we will give the rewards, when we will give the rewards, and this, etc. So team membership should be a part of the individual's performance review. So the team, they have to be part of the members' review. At the same time, management should assess each individual's contribution to the team. This is also will help in the in this point. The successful supplier integration here, formalized process for selecting items, use the team the team cross-function team for supplier selection, early supplier selection for design and volume work, supplier membership, and team participation. This is also one of the most important points, direct cross or with the functional communication. So those points are enough for the supplier integration. I'll come here to the end of this chapter, then we will go to the next chapter. Thank you so much. So welcome back, my dear students. This is chapter 5, and part 1. So we are going to talk now about some points important in this chapter that will handle the purchasing reports. For whom to whom does purchasing reports? Upper level functions reporting to an executive vice president. So we will report to the upper levels. We have to make our purchasing report and report it to the upper levels. Mid-level functions reporting to an executive one level below. An executive, so like that it goes from the lower to the higher. I'm doing the report from the lower to the higher. Lower level functions reporting at least 2 levels below. So we have 3, but the main ideas of all of them that the lower levels are reporting to the higher levels, not the opposite. We have also here to talk about sourcing and negotiating. The sourcing will welcome, my dear students. This is Dr. Osama Kashwa, and this is part 2 in chapter 5. We will handle the points like sourcing and negotiating. When we will source and negotiate, identify potential suppliers, negotiate with selected suppliers, perform the buying goods and services, and by specific items and by commodity family and by services categories. The purchasing research, developing long-term material forecasts, conducting value analysis programs, assessing supplier capabilities, analyzing supplier cost structure. This is another point. Supporting day-to-day operations, preparation and transfer of materials, strategic vs tactical purchasing. And this is another point. So here is a very important point, which is purchasing department activities. Purchasing department activities. What are the purchasing department's activities? Buying, expediting, inventory control, transportation, managing counter trades arrangements, insourcing, outsourcing, value analysis, purchasing research. All this comes into this function. Material forecasting, supply management, others. All those activities are within the purchasing department, are within the purchasing. There are another purchasing department activities, which like is receiving and warehousing, managing travel expenses, production planning and control, commodity future trading, global transportation and materials, economic forecasting, and subcontracting. So those are second list of the jobs of the activities of the supply or purchasing department. Okay. We have also activities like strategic activities like manage relationship with the critical suppliers, develop electronic purchasing system, implement companies' best practices, negotiate companies' supply contracts, and manage critical commodities. And this is another point of the jobs of the supply of the purchasing department. We have also for them operational activities, includes manages transactions with suppliers, use e-systems to source standards and direct items, source unique items, generate and forward material release, provide suppliers information feedback. Placement of purchasing authority. This is like when we talk about the centralization the centralization and the decentralization and hybrid combination. Centralization means the points of decision making in one hand. Decentralization means there is a distribution for the decision points is not only located in one hand, but in more than one hand. Hybrid combination means in between both of them. Uh, the size of the purchasing staff, as example, there are some purchasing departments, including a lot of people working, or a huge amount of people working, big number of peoples, large, great number of peoples, and some other purchasing departments, only few numbers of people are working in it. It's based on the type of the company, nature of complexity on product, physical numbers of items produced, strategic sourcing, market research and analysis, extent of involvement in services. So all those are okay. Factors influence authority, like organization business strategy, total purchases, dollar expenditures, overall philosophy of the management. The most important of them is the philosophy of the management. The authority and the responsibility, like we said before, the authority is the power to give orders and expecting to obey these orders. This is the meaning of authority, the power to give orders and the right to expect obeying these orders. We have a formal authority. The formal authority is from the manager to the employees. So this depends actually also on the philosophy of the management. Some companies will tend to be more decentralized. Some companies will tend to be more centralized. When it is centralized, that means high authority. When it is decentralized, that means lower levels of authority, because I'm distributing and delegating my power to the other levels. Okay. The only thing I want to say here, advantage and the disadvantage of centralization, actually, because the advantage of centralization is the disadvantage of the decentralization. Let's go and see this. What's the meaning of it? Consolidate purchase volumes, reduce duplication. This is the advantages of centralization. Consolidate purchase volumes, reduce duplication of purchasing efforts, ability to coordinate plans and strategies, ability to coordinate and manage company-wide purchasing system, developing expertise, managing company-wide change. So all those are advantages of centralization. Advantages of decentralization. We have speed, because the decision does not take time to take it, because you don't wait for the higher levels to sign and this and that. No, when there is decentralization, so there is a chance for all the levels to participate in the decision. Whoever is not here now, I will sign on behalf of him, no problem, but I won't wait. So for that reason, there is a speed in making decisions when there is a decentralization. Understanding unique operational requirements also, and product development support and the ownership. So those product development support utilize early supplier involvement, evaluate long-term requirements, develop strategic plans, determine if substitutes materials are available, anticipate product requirements. Those are all also points. Okay. Hybrid purchasing structures, lead buying division, regional buying groups, global buying committees, corporate purchasing councils, corporate steering committees. Those are all the hybrid purchasing structures. Means it's based on both of them, both of the centralization and the centralization. Thank you so much. Thank you. So welcome back, my dear students. This is chapter 5, part 3. And here we are going to see some important points on this chapter, on chapter 5. Here is a supply chain management structure example, an example for supply chain management structure. And as you see here, the president in the start, the top, on the head of the overhead is the president. Then there is a vice president here of supply chain management. Then on him, there is a flat structure. A flat structure means the length of its wide. It's not tall structure. by the vertical, but it's horizontal structure. So we'll find here director of strategic sourcing, director of production planning, director of logistics, director of operations, director of customer services, director of materials. Within the director of materials, as example, we will have department for receiving and storage manager, inventory control manager, and inbound transportation manager. So this is a kind of structure for an example for the supply chain management structure. That's fine. Now we will move into slide also 38. This is very important. It tells me how it will look the organizations in the future, or how the organization of the future looks like. Moving away from functional silo or vertical organizations, okay? Adapting horizontal or process approach, like I said before, we will move from the flat structures into horizontal structures that cuts across hierarchies of functional boundaries as well. So I will move from the flat structures into horizontal structures. And this is another work of the organizations of the future. Thank you so much. Welcome, my dear students, back. We're going to talk today about a new chapter, chapter 6, the main points of chapter 6, which is very important, I believe. And here we will go for the pages 4 and 5 and 6 and 7. Slides 4, yes. On slide 4 here, it's very important because we are talking about how companies make money. Companies make money either by one of two ways: increasing revenues or decreasing costs. So I will do this either by increasing revenues or by decreasing costs. Increasing revenues through the price, shall I raise the price or increase the volume of production and the sales? How about decreasing the costs? Shall I do what I will do? Reduce the cost of employees, or reduce the cost of the process and the waste, or reduce the cost of goods and services? So I have this choice. I'll go to after this to the next slide. So we need to have an integrative strategy development that will include the corporate strategy and the business units strategy and the supply management strategy as well. At the same time, this will be like we'll have also commodity strategy. So we'll have the integrative strategy will consist of all those four: corporate, business, supply chain, supply management strategy, and commodity strategy. Each one of them, what's the meaning of the corporate strategy? It includes the definition of business in which it participates, acquisition and allocation of resources to this business. So the business and what is needed to run this business from the resources, the materials, the raw materials. Business unit strategy, scope or boundaries of this business, basic competitive advantages. So this is the business unit. How about the supply chain management strategy then is required for this, because all of them are completing each other. There are four levels which are completing each other. Supply management strategy support the desired competitive business level strategy. It's supported. How to complement other functional areas. About the last one, which is commodity strategy, this is including how to purchase commodities to support higher levels of strategies. So those are the four integrative strategy development. We'll go now to another slide. Yeah, here we go. Translating objectives into goals. We have, when we do strategies, all we in front of our eyes is just to translate the objectives into goals. Because what's my goal? My goal is to succeed now as a student, okay? So my strategy is to be a good person. How I'll do this? Through taking my own certificate, or my strategy is to take the certificate. So this is the goal. Cost reduction objectives. If the objective is cost reduction, then goals be low cost producer in industry. I will try to reduce the costs, reduce material costs by 15%, Reduce levels of inventory because the inventory itself needs money to keep it. The holding cost is called the holding costs. So I will try to reduce the holding costs. Reduce raw materials on inventory. Okay, so those are all. I'm trying by using this strategy, cost reduction, to reduce the costs. Um, Translating objectives, the goals. Technology, new products development, objective goals. Outsource non-core competencies activities. Reduce product development time. Develop a formal supplier integration process manual. Okay, so those also are translating the objective goals. The technology, what I will use, what kind of technology I will use. Outsourcing. Wow. Outsourcing means from where I will bring my own raw materials. Reduce products. I will look for a supplier who will give me the raw materials with lower price. Reduce product development time. Also, the product development, the time to update my products and develop the functions of my product, I will reduce this time as well. Translating objectives goals, supply-based reduction objectives, reduce the number of suppliers also. If I can, I will reduce the numbers of suppliers and join problem solving with remaining suppliers. And I will try to find out any way with the suppliers to reduce the cost. And instead of he's supplying me this part, this input for $10, I will try and negotiate to make it with $8. Try to lowball to be like another, by other meaning, try to reduce the costs, whatever I can. Translating objectives, the goals, supply assurance objectives, goals, assure uninterrupted supply from identified suppliers. So everything is done based on time. Nothing is no delays, no interruption, nothing. Reduce order cycle time. So the time of when you bring for me the raw materials till the goods are finished and it will be shipped, it takes 1 month. I will try to make it 15 days. Quality objectives. How about the quality? I said before that the quality is continuous process that is always going on. This is the quality. It's a continuous process which is always going on. So I will keep on the quality always in all the phases of production or in all the phases of the purchasing. Okay. And reduce also the defected units, the returned units for me. I try to make it lower. As example, bad units not working well, then it's 20. I will just try to make it 10 this year. I won't make it 0 very easy, but I will try to reduce the amount of defects or defaults. Okay, then we will go now to another slide. Yeah, here we go. This is very important. Strategic sourcing process. Strategic sourcing. The first step is to build a team by developing a statement of work and plan. Our inputs and outputs, the leader and the team members, and we configure all of them. The outputs of us is baseline data, project charter, work plan. So that's what we'll do in this step. Our work plan will be the out of step 1. Step 2, market research. We'll do the market research. Sourcing. We are doing market research for sourcing. Goal, understand the supply market very well. Inputs and tools, interviews, online researches, conferences. Outputs, report to supply trends, changes in prices, capacity, all what's going on in the market. I will be aware about. Then we'll come to the core now, which is the strategy development. The strategy development. Goals, classify the supplier and define the sourcing approach. Inputs and tools, market research and portfolio metrics. Outputs, supplier evaluation tools with desired relationship. Step 4, which is the contract negotiations. Goals, negotiate within win-win contract. We'll try to find out a way to have good contracts. Inputs and tools, negotiate plans, supplier and evaluation tools. Outputs, signed contract. We will sign a contract We will find a way for a best contracts and sign it. Step 5, SRM, that will include goal, continuously improve performance. I will try always to uh, to improve my performance. Inputs and tools of this stage or this phase: contract supplier scorecards. We use the scorecards for registering everything about the supplier, the activities, our activities with the other suppliers, and the outputs, supplier development plan, and communication. Yes, so now we have also, so far, one of the things which we have to care about always when we do any strategy, as long as we are talking in this chapter about the strategies, is the Porter's model. Porter's models of the 5 forces is very important because it shows me all the threats which comes to me from everywhere, and that I'm in a position that I'm surrounded with competitors from everywhere, and those competitors are leading forces against me, and I have to cope with them. What I will do, either this was in selling or purchasing, or so the Porter's model of the 5 forces is applicable for any aspect in management. Okay, threats of new entrants. This is the first thing which is facing me and confronting me and causing me troubles. Threat of new entrants. Supply bargaining power, because the supplier is having power to bargain. Okay. The pressure from the substitutes, as example, other alternates in the market, other competitors in the market, they have substitute for my product. They have another product like mine, and they can compete me. And I have also the buyer bargaining power. Also, the buyer might try to force me to sell my outputs with a lower price. In the same time, I have market internal competition. There is also the market internal competition. We call this Porter's 5 forces model. So I have to be very aware of it, and I have to deal with it as much as I can with these 5 forces. I have to deal with it as much as I can. We'll go now to the SWOT analysis, another strategic dimensions, which is always mentioned in all the textbooks in the management science, and including, of course, purchasing as well. That is SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for strengths, the S stands for strengths, W stands for weakness, O stands for opportunities, and T stands for threats. So all those are the 4 aspects of SWOT analysis. So the strength, like the board, customer base established, product range established, distribution channels. Those are the things which strengthen me, my points of strengths. But in front of it, if I have a point that's weakness, or it's kind of threatness from the other competitors, low product innovation, traditional unionized business process, low present protection, low patent protection. I cannot protect someone can imitate my products or whatever. Opportunities, what's considered for me, those 2, we call them internal factors, the strength and weakness. But the external factors are the opportunities and threats. So what are they? Emergence of other users of markets, okay? And high entry barriers. There are a lot of high entry barriers. So this considered like opportunity for me. Threatnesses. What about the threatness? We said those are external factors from outside the organization. External means from outside the organization. As example, emerging overseas suppliers. NPD costs are high, environmental regulations. A lot of regulations and laws, and so this are considered threats for me because I might be not aware of all these laws. Finally, in this chapter 6, I would like to talk about the types of strategy at the end. We have supply base optimization, supply risk management strategies. We have global sourcing strategies. Longer term supplier relationship strategies. I want to keep a long term relation with my supplier. Early supplier design involvement, supplier development as well, and total costs of ownership. So that was about the chapter number 6. And thank you so much for listening. Wish you a very good night. Bye bye. Welcome back, my dear students. This is Dr. Osama Kashwa, and this is chapter 7. And we'll take the main points of chapter 7. We will cover them, all of them actually. And we will go now to chapter 7 and see how it works. Yeah, how it works. Okay. So on chapter 7 here, the main important points are like this. This chapter is about the evaluation of the suppliers. You will evaluate your suppliers. How do you work? How you will put them in a rank like this number 1, this number 2, this number 3, based on their capabilities, their time, punctuality, their efficiency, their effectiveness, all this together. And we will give them scores of points, and we will arrange them in a rank. So supplier selection and evaluation, the process itself of selecting and evaluation depends on the following points. Recognize the needs for supplier selection. Identify key sourcing requirements. Determine sourcing strategy. Identify potential supply sources. Limit supplier in selection pool because I don't want hundreds of suppliers. Determine methods of supplier evaluation and selection, how I will select them. Select the supplier and reach to agreement at the end. So those are the points which I care about in the supplier, and this is the steps which I do to have a good supplier, to choose within the suppliers a good one. How about, okay, how will it, from where I will collect the informations about the suppliers? I will collect it from the current suppliers themselves, from the preferred suppliers, from the sales, for representatives. I will ask about the sales representatives. If I have information database, I will collect source of information about the suppliers. Based on my experience, I would say this one is good, this one is bad, because I treated with him about 2 years ago. He was in time. He delivered for me the goods in time, whatever. Trade journals, they show us who is very successful, the famous and the people who are very famous, or the traders, suppliers who are very famous and very active. So trade directories also show us, give us information, some information about the suppliers. Trade shows also second party or indirect information I can give from internal sources, and internet searches will tell me, like the reviews on the internet will tell me if this supplier is good or he's not very well or not doing well. This was 11. Now I will go to the next. Sourcing alternatives, manufacturing and distributor, vendor, managerial, inventory, integrated supply, local, national, or international supplier. Which kind of supplier I want? Is he local one or national or international supplier? Again, also, do I need only one supplier to supply for me, or I need many suppliers to deal with many suppliers at the same time, so that I will avoid the problems of putting my neck under one supplier's needs only? If this supplier said, we don't have the raw materials now, what I will do? I have to act, I have to bring these raw materials from another elsewhere. So in that case, I should prefer to have many suppliers, okay? Limit suppliers and selection pools also. You have to limit them, means just put them, you know in the market there are 300 suppliers, but you need only to just like screening them till you became 5 in front of you. You will choose from this 5. Financial risk analysis, evaluation of supplier performance, evaluation of supplier provided information based on the information which you had about the supplier, and based on the surveys which you do, the researches, whatever you do also. So you will rank them and you will keep screen them till you find for them put a pool for yourself for your selection, and from this pool you will see about 5 or 6 suppliers only. And this is another point. Uh, the methods also evaluating from supplier provided information. Suppliers visit, you will get from them methods of evaluation also. Use of preferred suppliers, okay, external or third party information. You will ask someone or some bodies who dealt with the suppliers before. Are they are good enough? Are they are good enough? Are they are good for supplying me? Are they are punctual in time? How about the costs? Do they negotiate? Can I reduce the cost of the materials which I will buy from this supplier? So all these questions, you can know it also as well. These are very, very important page. Page 15 and page 16, slides 15 and 16 are very important because it tells me what are the basic supplier evaluation criteria. What are the basic supplier evaluation criteria? They are price, quality, and delivery, management capabilities, employees capabilities, cost structure. All those total quality performance is good. He's giving me things with a good quality system and philosophy, process and technological capabilities. Also, so those are the criteria by which I choose the supplier: the price, the employee capabilities, the total quality performance, the process and technological process. Also, the environmental regulations, okay, the financial stability of the supplier, the production scheduling and control system, the e-commerce capability as well. Am I having e-commerce? Electronic commerce means I can do my transactions electronically or no? Is he also the other party, the suppliers, having the same thing or no? Supplier sourcing strategies, policies, and techniques. Longer term relationship potentials also is one of these points. After that, I will go to other slides. This is very important as well. I have here very important, maybe the most important parts of this chapter is a good supplier does the following. What does he do? Build quality into a product aiming at 0 defects. So the good supplier will bring for me the raw materials which I want and the qualities which I want with 100% right. Everything is right. Makes delivery performance a priority. Demonstrates responsives to buyer's needs. He know what I need in the time I need it, and he bring for me whatever I need before even he know my needs. He can forecast my needs punctually, and he does not reduce in the amounts which I want or say I have now the half and the other half after 1 month. No, everything comes in time. Works with the buyer to reduce lead time. Exactly. So he works also to reduce the time from the order till the time the raw materials or the inputs will reach to the buyer by the supplier. So this is also another point which he do. Also, a good supplier does the following. The good supplier, this is like the outputs of the criteria which I'm using because I want at the end a good supplier. Provides the buyer with capabilities and workload information, creates the future, and reinvests part of the profits into research and development with a long-term views and meets stringent financial stability criteria when evaluating new customers. So those are the points which I want you to know in chapter 7. Thank you so much. Wish you a good night.